It's the morning of December 6th, 1917, and the once busy port town of Halifax in Nova Scotia had become nothing more than a smoldering wasteland in mere seconds. What exactly caused this much destruction in so little time? The atomic bombs wouldn't be created until almost 30 years later. It's because some guys made an oopsie. A really big oopsie. I'm Vibby, and on this episode of A Space Alien Explains, the Halifax Explosion. The towns of Halifax and Dartmouth are located on opposite sides of a narrow channel, which connects the Bedford Basin to the rest of the Atlantic Ocean. Halifax grew to prominence during the First World War and was used as an important naval hub by the Allies. By 1917, the population of the entire harbor area was estimated to be around 65,000 people. On the morning of December 6th, a Norwegian ship, the SS Emo, no, not that emo, was sailing out of the harbor bound for Belgium with relief supplies. The ship's departure had been delayed a couple days due to some shenanigans, so the crew did what everyone does when you're late. Haul ass! At the same time the Emo was speeding to make up for lost time, a French ship, the SS Mont Blanc, was arriving to port to rendezvous with a convoy in the Bedford Basin. The Mont Blanc's cargo was fully loaded with TNT, picric acid, benzol, and gun cotton. It's okay if you don't recognize what half those things are. All you really need to be aware of is the fact they're either highly flammable, explosive, or both. The Mont Blanc was basically a 3,000-ton floating bomb. You see where this is going now. In the narrow channel where Halifax and Dartmouth are located, ships passing through were expected to stay on the right side, much like driving on the road if you're in the United States. As the Emo entered the channel, it encountered a ship approaching on the wrong side, so the Emo moved over into the other lane to avoid it, which put it right into oncoming traffic. Emo needed to move back into the correct lane, but it came across a problem. A tugboat was now blocking the way, preventing the Emo from changing course. But also fast approaching right toward them was the ship loaded with explosives, the Mont Blanc. A decision needed to be made. Hit the tugboat, or hit the ship of explosives? Tugboat or explosives? Tugboat? Explosives? Did you read the title of the video? You wanna take a f***ing guess? Both captains of the SS Mont Blanc and the SS Emo blew their whistles, which is boat speak for move out of the way, bitch, but neither ship would yield. They cut their engines, but the momentum was still carrying them forward. The Mont Blanc turned to the middle of the channel, towards Halifax, as a last-ditch effort to avoid the Emo. If Mont Blanc had turned to the other side, towards Dartmouth, it likely would have run aground and set off its explosive cargo. The SS Emo, though, had another plan to avoid collision. It reversed its engines, causing it to spin in place, which was basically no help to the other ship who was trying to go around it. The collision itself wasn't all that spectacular. The ships just kinda nicked each other, but it was enough to break open the flammable barrels of benzol, and the sparks from the grinding hulls ignited a fire on the Mont Blanc, which quickly raged out of control. Knowing that time was running out, the crew abandoned ship and started rowing, yelling for people to get away. Either they were drowned out by the other noises in the port, or they were speaking French and nobody understood what they were saying, but no one seemed to heed the warning. By this time, people were coming outside and gathering nearby to watch the burning ship. That was a big mistake. About 20 minutes after the collision, it finally happened. The fire ignited the explosives, instantly vaporizing the Mont Blanc. One of the few parts that survived was an anchor piece, which was launched 2.5 miles away from the epicenter of the explosion. A 60-foot tsunami was generated by the blast. Every window in a 50-mile radius was shattered, 2,000 people were dead, 9,000 were injured, and the Emo was tossed onto Dartmouth's shores on the other side of the channel like a toy in the cruel bathtub of life. The sound of the explosion could be heard as far away as Massachusetts. A good portion of the city was completely leveled, and what buildings did remain standing were completely uninhabitable. And pretty much everything was on fire. You can't call the fire station when there is no fire station. Within 3 hours of the explosion, officials had organized a relief commission. A blizzard came through the day after, which unfortunately put a halt to the relief efforts, but at least it extinguished the remaining fires. Gotta look on the bright side, right? In the immediate aftermath, initial thoughts were that the explosion was caused by German saboteurs. But after an investigation, it was later determined by the Supreme Court of Canada that both the Mont Blanc and the Emo were equally at fault for the disaster. Today, Halifax is still deeply scarred by this event. Walking through the city, you'll find plaques, memorials, pieces of explosion wreckage, and gravestones scattered around, commemorating that terrible day on December 6th. So this, my lovely but clumsy earthlings, is the story of the largest accidental man-made explosion of all time. I know humans are always in the pursuit of bettering themselves, but I implore you, please don't try to break this record. Hi guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help the channel grow, please be sure to give this a like or a share. The Halloween episode is coming out next week, and I guarantee it's gonna be pretty wild. You don't want to miss it, so be sure to subscribe if you want to be the first to see it. Thanks again!